हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, आज हम पढ़ने वाले हैं क्लास 10th फर्स्ट फ्लाइट बुक का चैप्टर 3 टू स्टोरीज अबाउट फ्लाइंग. Students, this chapter, two stories about flying, it is divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 and part 2 both are having different titles, two different titles. दोनों का दो अलग अलग टाइटल है. Part 1 is titled His First Flight and part 2 is titled Black Aeroplane. So today the topic of our discussion is part 1, His First Flight, and the author is Liam O'Flaherty. Students, before we start the text, let us know a little bit about the author, Liam O'Flaherty. Liam O'Flaherty was an Irish novelist and short story writer who was very much famous for his realistic portrayal of the Irish life. And mainly वो अपने जो writings हैं उस पे the life of the common people of Ireland उनके बारे में from their perspective he used to write. So the story that is there in your syllabus, His First Flight, is also one of such good stories जहाँ पर हमें एक बहुत ही अच्छा lesson देखने को मिलेगा that we will learn from the story. And the theme of this story, His First Flight, is overcoming fear and gaining self confidence. ये theme के ऊपर ये पूरा story लिखी गई है. And the protagonist of this story is a bird. It's a young seagull. Seagull, students, I hope you know that it is a bird who resides by the oceans and seas mostly. So such a young seagull, one young seagull is the character or main character protagonist of this story. So how this theme, that overcoming fear and gaining self confidence, is going to be portrayed through this story, let us see. So let's enter the text. Okay, so as you can see, the title of the story is Two Stories About Flying, and today the topic of our discussion is part 1, His First Flight, written by Liam O'Flaherty. So children, before you read, यहाँ पर कुछ चीज़ें लिखी हुई हैं. Let us read that. Since the earliest times, humans have dreamed of conquering the skies. Here are two stories about flying. तो यहाँ पर क्या बोला जा रहा है कि बहुत ही पहले टाइम से, since earliest times, humans have dreamed of conquering the skies. Conquering मतलब विजय पाना, to win, to get victory. कि human being always have the desire from very long time to achieve, to conquering the skies means to achieve their goals here. Okay, and here in this story, two stories about flying, we are going to know about such a kind of two stories where the protagonist will be of the same dream. So part 1, a young seagull is afraid to fly. How does he conquer his fear? And part 2, a pilot is lost in storm clouds. Does he arrive safe? Who helps him? So these are the introduction actually before we will know the story, to set our minds that what actually we are going to read in both the stories. It is written for that purpose. Okay, so let us start our discussion for today. His First Flight, written by Liam O'Flaherty. So part 1, His First Flight. The young seagull was alone on his ledge. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. So the young seagull, children, the young seagull is the protagonist of the story. He is the protagonist. He is the protagonist. Protagonist means, children, the main character, okay, whom we call the main character of a story. So the young seagull is the protagonist of the story who was alone on his ledge. Now the word ledge means, children, you can see here, it is written here, the meaning, a narrow horizontal shelf projecting from a wall or here a cliff. So here the word ledge means actually on a hill there is an extended part, extended rock, that is actually known as a ledge. So the young seagull is found, when the story starts, the young seagull is found sitting on the ledge of a cliff. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. And यहाँ पर हमें ये जानने को मिल रहा है कि the young seagull has also siblings. The young seagull has two brothers and a sister. Okay, and the previous day, it is written, had flown away the day before. The previous day only, the day the story starts, जिस दिन ये story जहाँ से शुरू हो रहा है, उसके ठीक पहले वाले दिन में ये two brothers and the sister of the young seagull, वो पहले ही they have flown away. Flown away मतलब उन लोगों ने पहले ही they have taken their flight, वो उड़ गए हैं. he had been afraid to fly with them. But this young seagull somehow was very much afraid. उसको किसी ना किसी भी कारण बहुत ही डर लगा. And जब his two brothers and his sister had flown away, he also tried, but he could not do because he was very much afraid. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. It is not like that कि उसने कोशिश नहीं किया, that he didn't try. He tried. He did what? That he took a little run forward, okay, towards the edge of the cliff, and he tried to flap his wings, but he became afraid and he could not do that successfully. The great expanse of the sea stretched down beneath, and it was such a long way down, miles down. Why he could not do that? Because उसको डर लगा कि वो नीचे गिर जाएगा, क्योंकि down there what was there? There was a vast expansion of sea. Now it is written great expanse. Expanse means children the spread. So down that cliff, down that hill, there was a vast expansion of sea, and the young seagull became naturally very much afraid that if he will not be able to take his flight, then he will be drowned there in the sea water. He felt certain that his wings would never support him. So this is a very important line, children, ki what the young seagull felt exactly at that time. What he felt? That his wings will not support him. So that's why he could not master up the courage, we can say. So he bent his head and ran away back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. So as he understood that it is not possible for him, he is so much afraid. So he did what? He went back to a hole. The hole was there in that ledge only, under the ledge, under one rock only, and he slept for that night alone there in that hole, inside that hole. Even when each of his brothers and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink, flapped their wings and flew away, he failed to muster up courage to take that plunge which appeared to him so desperate. So actually the wings of his siblings, the two brothers and the sister, they were shorter than the young seagull's one, but though they had shorter wings than this young seagull, they took their flight, but the young seagull could not rely on his own wings. Okay, he thought that his wings will not support him. So that's why though they went to the brink, flapped their wings and they flew away, this young seagull failed to muster up courage to take that plunge. Muster up means, children, to gather. Okay, gather courage. Okay, to gather courage. He could not gather his own courage to do the same like his own siblings. His father and mother had come around, calling him shrilly, upbraiding him, threatening to let him starve on his ledge unless he flew away. The parents, what role the parents played at the time? Very crucial, very important for the text, children. His father and mother, both the parents, had come around. वो young seagull के पास आए, calling him shrilly. Shrilly means at the peak of their voice. बहुत ही जोर से बुलाया young seagull को. Upbraiding him, the word upbraiding, children, the meaning is written here, scolding him. Like अगर हम लोग भी कुछ काम करने में डरते हैं, कुछ करने से अच्छा कुछ करने से डरते हैं, तो we also get scolded by our parents. Our parents भी डांटते हैं हमें कि क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे, you can do it. So in that same tone, the parents of the young seagull, they started scolding him, threatening to let him starve on his ledge unless he flew away. और उन्होंने young seagull को threats भी दिया, किसका, कि if you will not try to fly, you will starve here, we will not give you any food, हम आपको कोई खाना नहीं देंगे. Okay, like sometimes to motivate it is required, we know that sometimes our parents also do the same, कि अगर तुम ये कर लोगे तो तुम्हें ये मिलेगा. So this is a kind of motivation, we can say in a way. But for the life of him, he could not move. But young seagull was very much afraid because of the safety of himself, and that's why he could not take the first flight. Okay, could not take his flight, he could not move. That was 24 hours ago. और ये जो हमने फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में पढ़ा, चिल्ड्रन, इट इज़ एक्चुअली द इवेंट ऑफ द प्रीवियस डे. नाउ फ्रॉम दिस paragraph onwards we will see the next day is one. Okay, the day where the actually the story starts. Since then nobody had come near him. 24 आवर्स हो गए, पूरे एक दिन हो गए, लेकिन कोई इस यंग सीगल के पास नहीं आया. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. So the young seagull could see the entire day the activities of his siblings and his parents. What he saw? The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister. उन्होंने young seagull ने क्या देखा कि parents are flying with the brothers and the sister and perfecting them in the art of flight. Obviously, it was there also for the first time they were flying. So some such mistakes were there in flying. So the young seagull saw that the parents were perfecting the siblings, that how to take a perfect flight. And teaching them how to skim the waves. How to skim the waves means children कि waves के ऊपर कैसे तैरना. Okay, that is called the skimming over the waves. So how to do that? That also the parents were teaching the siblings, and how to dive for fish. Children, as they are the birds who reside by the seaside or ocean side, so obviously they live by preying, and preying what? Preying fish. So the parents were also teaching the siblings of this young seagull how to dive for fish, how to catch the fish so that they can eat it. He had in fact seen his older brother catch his first herring and devour it, standing on a rock while his parents circle around, raising a proud crackle. So what is written here? That he even saw that one of his brothers caught his first herring. Children, herring is the name of a sea fish, and the young seagull saw that one of his brothers caught very successfully the fish herring and devour it. Devour, the word means actually children to gobble it, मतलब निगल लेना. How the brother is eating the fish herring, the young seagull saw that from that distant cliff, and he saw that the brother was actually standing on a rock while his parents circled around, raising a proud crackle. And young seagull ने ये भी देखा कि जब the brother was actually successful in catching the fish and eating it, how the parents became proud of it. They started giving circle around the brother and raising a proud crackle. Okay, so they started making noise which seems as if they are very much proud of the brother. And all the morning the whole family had walked about on the big plateau midway down the opposite cliff, taunting him with his cowardice. And all day long, the parents, the whole family did what? They walked about the big plateau, just opposite to the cliff where the young seagull was standing. Just opposite to that cliff, there was one plateau. Plateau, I think in geography, you all have gathered the knowledge that plateau means one land that is not actually plain land, but having obviously some uneven surface. So in such a kind of plateau, all the family members like the parents, the siblings, they were just enjoying their life, means their flight, whatever activities they were doing. And obviously they were doing what? They were taunting him with his cowardice. And from there they were taunting the young seagull for his cowardice. What is called cowardice here, children? The act that the young seagull could not take his flight successfully. So they were taunting from that distant place that you could not do that. Okay. Now let us see next. The sun was now ascending the sky, blazing on his ledge that faced the south. Now it is the very morning. Ascending means going up. So the sun is now going up the sky, blazing on his ledge, the ledge where the young seagull was standing. The sunlight is reaching there, that faced the south, and the cliff was facing the south side. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. So students, in the morning, there is not, we can't find that scorching heat of the sun. So still here it is written that he felt the heat of that sunlight at the very morning. Why? Because he had not eaten anything since the previous nightfall. He is hungry. That's why he felt weak, and due to that weakness he was feeling the heat of the sunlight at that very morning also. He stepped slowly out to the brink of the ledge, and standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wings, he closed one eye, then the other. Okay, and pretended to be falling asleep. So what the young seagull did, that he did what? He stepped slowly out to the brink of the ledge. धीरे धीरे वो brink मतलब at the edge. Brink means at the edge. Okay, EDG, age means the end point. Okay, so at the edge of the ledge, the young seagull went, and what he did, standing on one leg with the other leg hidden. Students, sometimes we see that some birds, they do that, particularly when they sleep. They do what? They just will be standing on one leg and the other leg will be hidden under one of their wings. The same the young seagull is doing here, and he closed one eye and the other. He closed both of his eyes, and this is the word, children, pretended. Actually, he was not feeling sleepy, but he pretended as if he is going to fall asleep. Okay. Still, they took no notice of him. Though the parents and the siblings saw that as the young seagull is about to sleep, but they did not pay any heed to it. उन्होंने इतना ध्यान नहीं दिया. They ignored him. Okay. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the plateau, dozing with their heads sunk into their necks. So he saw that his brothers and sister, they were lying on the plateau, dozing with their heads. Dozing matlab, the children, dozing means as if about to sleep. Okay. So when one is falling asleep, and obviously the gesture is such as if the eyes are going to be closed and the body is getting relaxed, that is actually called dozing off. So he saw that the siblings are going to doze off, they are about to sleep, and their heads sunk into their necks. The way we see actually that the birds sleep. His father was preening the feathers on his white back. So preening, the word preening means, it is written, children, here, making an effort to maintain feathers. So हम लोग देखते हैं कि sometimes the birds, they do what? They arrange their feathers by the help of their beak. Okay, so the same the father is doing. The father was preening the feathers on his white back. So here the color of the bird is also mentioned, that the bird was white in color. Only his mother was looking at him. The father was not looking at him at all, but the mother was looking at him. She was standing on a little high hump on the plateau. So as I told that on plateau, the surface is not that very even, it is uneven. So one such high up place is there. So the mother is standing there and watching the young seagull. Her white breast thrust forward. And how the mother was sitting or standing over there? By putting forth the breast forward. Okay, so in that way the mother was sitting and watching the young seagull. Now and again she tore at a piece of fish that lay at her feet and then scraped each side of a beak on the rock. What the mother was doing? The mother was tearing a fish. The pieces of fish she was tearing. Tore means tearing only. It is the past form of the word tear, the verb. And lay at her feet and then scraped each side of a beak on the rock. Okay, so the mother is eating the fish, and whatever particles, food particles are there, okay, on her beak, that she is just cleaning up, okay, by rubbing the beak against the rock. The sight of the food maddened him. This is the punching line, children. Okay, the sight of the food maddened him. The food that the mother was having, a fish at his feet, that actually maddened the young seagull. And why? इसका क्या कारण है? We all can say it easily, because the young seagull had not taken any food from the last night. He was very much hungry. He was starving. How he loved to tear food that way, scraping his beak now and again to wet it. And now the young seagull, looking at the mother, the young seagull also is thinking that how he also loves to do that. The way the mother is tearing the pieces of the fish and eating it and scraping the beak against the rock, how he also likes to do that. So he is just thinking. Why he is thinking? Again, he is very much hungry at that time. So now let's see next what is happening now. Ga, 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 he cried, begging her to bring him some food. And this is actually the cry of the seagull. They call in that way, ga, ga, ga. It sounds like that. So he cried, begging her to bring him some food. So they have started communicating. The young seagull tried to communicate with the mother in his own language. So what he is telling, what he is doing, he is crying, begging her to bring him some food. He wants to say the mother that bring that food for me also. Go kola, she screamed back derisively. But the mother also screamed, replied in their own language and back derisively. The word derisively means, children, is written here in a manner showing someone that he or she is stupid. As if paying no attention, okay, just go off in this way, okay, that the mother paid no attention to the young seagull. But he kept calling plaintively, and after a minute or so he uttered a joyful scream. But what happened? He kept calling plaintively. Plaintively means continuously, okay, in a very appealing tone. And after a minute or so he uttered a joyful scream. After a minute or so the young seagull screamed, but it was a cry of what? Joy. It was not a cry of pain, okay, or anything else. His mother had picked up a piece of the fish and was flying across to him with it. Why the young seagull screamed joyfully? Because he saw that the mother is now coming towards him with the piece of the fish in its beak. Seeing that, the young seagull became happy. He leaned out, okay, so you can see the picture over here, okay, the young seagull is here and the mother is coming towards him. So see, he leaned out eagerly, tapping the rock with his feet, okay, and the young seagull did what? He became so eager to reach the food, so he tapped his feet on the rock so that he can reach up to the height, trying to get nearer to her means the mother, as she flew across, as the mother was flying across the young seagull. But when she was just opposite to him, means when the mother was just at the opposite of this young seagull, she halted, means she stopped. Halted means stopped, okay, halted means stopped. So she stopped, her wings motionless, the piece of fish in her beak almost within reach of his beak. The mother stopped at such a point where there is a very minute distance between the young seagull and the mother. At that position the mother stopped, okay, and the piece of fish was still there in its beak, in her beak. He waited a moment in surprise. The young seagull got surprised. वो surprised हो गया कि क्यों? Why the mother is behaving in such a way? Why the mother is not coming nearer? Wondering why she did not come nearer, and then maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish. And that time the young seagull was so maddened with hunger, was so hungry and wanted to have that food so badly. That's why without thinking anything, without giving it a second thought, he did what? He took the jump, okay. What he did? He dived at the fish. With a loud scream, he fell outwards and downwards into space, and the moment he took that jump, he dived at the fish, he started screaming loudly and he fell outwards and downwards, सामने की तरफ and नीचे की तरफ वो जाने लगा. And then a monstrous terror seized him and his heart stood still, and suddenly he became conscious about that act. And a monstrous terror means a terror which was like extreme terror, it is called monstrous terror, seized him, means as if his heart got stopped and his heart stood still, as if his heart is not, obviously it is not beating, okay. He felt like that for that moment. He could hear nothing and he also could not hear anything, okay. The condition, the state, mental state of the young seagull was like this. But it only lasted a minute. But this kind of situation, this kind of state of the young seagull lasted for a minute only, okay, not for long. The next moment he felt his wings spread outwards, and next moment he started feeling that he has already spreaded his wings outwards. The wind rushed against his breast feathers, then under his stomach and against his wings, and उसने realize करना start किया the wind against his breast, the pressure of the wind, okay, the wind is rushing against his breast feathers, under his stomach he could feel the pressure of the wind, and against his wings, so he could feel through his entire body the pressure of the wind. He could feel the tips of his wings cutting through the air, and he also felt that the tips of the wings, the end part of the wings, they are cutting across the wind, okay, that the wings are cutting crisscross through the wind, okay. That means the process of flying, it is being said here. He was not falling headlong now, and he also realized one thing, that now he is not going downwards, he is not falling headlong now. He was soaring gradually downwards and outwards. Suddenly he realized that he is now soaring, he is not going downwards continuously, he is soaring, sometimes downwards, sometimes upwards. he was no longer afraid. And the most important thing that happened at this time is that he is now no longer feeling afraid. Okay, he just felt a bit dizzy. Only one feeling was there, that he was feeling dizzy, and we can understand why this dizziness was there. The meaning of the word dizzy is given over here, children. An uncomfortable feeling of spinning around and losing one's balance. So dizziness means as if, obviously, that as if that state is not that stable one. Okay, so he just felt a bit dizzy. Okay, and why? We can understand. Iska karan kya hai to feel dizzy? Because he had not taken any food from the last night. Then he flapped his wings once and he soared upwards. Then he flapped suddenly his wings and he soared up high. Okay, because of the pressure of the wind only. Ga 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 go kola. His mother swooped past him, her wings making a loud noise, and the mother making her own noise. Okay, he is just going across he started flying across the young seagull out of happiness. He answered her with another scream, and the young seagull also answered back the mother with another scream. Then his father flew over him screaming. Then the father also joined. The father was also screaming, and all these screaming are the screams of joy. He saw his two brothers and his sister flying around him, curveting and banking and soaring and diving. And the two brothers and one sister, they also joined the parents. They are also curveting. Curveting, the meaning is written here, children. Leaping like a horse means they were so happy. These all acts are the acts of happiness. Curveting, banking, they are going very near to the young seagull and soaring. Sometimes they are soaring up and diving into the water of the sea. So in this way they are showing their happiness to the young seagull. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly and commended himself to dive and soar and curve, shrieking shrilly. And at that time the young seagull forgot entirely that earlier he was so afraid of flying. Okay, and he commended himself to dive and soar and curve, shrieking shrilly. He also started soaring, curving and going to the bank of the sea. He was also doing different activities like the siblings were doing till then. Okay. Now he was near the sea now, flying straight over it, facing straight out over the ocean. Now he had gone very close to the sea surface, the water surface, flying straight over it, facing straight out over the ocean. He saw a vast green sea beneath him, and he saw that under him there is a vast expansion of a sea. The water of the that means the color of the water of the sea is green. Okay, with little ridges moving over it, and he turned his beak sideways and cawed amusedly. So he started looking around that what are the things in the surrounding. He started looking by turning his beak sideways. His parents and his brothers and sister had landed on his green flooring ahead of him. Green flooring means here, children, the sea only, because the color of the water of the sea is green. sea का water का color green है, so that is actually referred to here as green flooring. So the parents, the brothers and the sister, all they landed just in front of him on the water surface. They were beckoning to him, calling shrilly, and beckoning means calling. Okay, they all were calling the young seagull that come here, and at the peak of their voice, shrilly. He dropped his legs to stand on the green sea, and the young seagull also tried, like his siblings and parents, to stand on the water level, water surface. Okay, that's why he dropped his legs to stand on the green sea. His legs sank into it, and as soon as he tried to do that, his legs started sinking into the water. He screamed with fright. Fright means with fear, and he became afraid again, that as if he is going to drown. So he screamed with fright and attempted to rise again, flapping his wings, and then he tried to flap his wings so that he can go up, okay, so that he would not drown. But he was tired and weak with hunger, and he could not rise. But as he could not take any food, he was hungry, so he could not do that, because that needs also a lot of energy at the sea level. Okay, so that's why he could not rise. Exhausted, he was very much tired by the strange exercise, whatever he was doing at the time. His feet sank into the green sea, and then his belly touched it, and he sank no farther. And then suddenly what happened? That his belly gradually touched the water surface, and suddenly he saw that he is now not sinking farther. Okay, he was floating on it. He was floating on the sea surface, and around him his family was screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him scraps of dogfish. Dogfish is another kind of sea fish, children, that the family member, they became very happy. As I said, this screaming is the screaming of joy. So they started screaming out of happiness, praising him. They started praising the young seagull for such a bravery, and their beaks were offering him scraps of dogfish. All of them brought dogfish, the pieces of that fish, for the young seagull to eat. He had made his first flight, and at last, in this way, the young seagull, who was earlier very much afraid of this first flight, successfully ultimately took his first flight, and he became happy also. Okay, so children, this was the explanation of the text. ये था explanation. I hope आप सबको समझ में आया होगा. And now, to relate the theme with the story, we can easily say that yes, the story is completely based on the theme that overcoming fear and gaining self-respect is very much important. If we are afraid of the things that we want to achieve, then never ever we will be able to gain success in life. Never ever we will be able to achieve our goals. So very much important the lesson is what we can gather from the text, from the story. So I hope you can implement this one, whatever you have learned from this story. And so children, this is for today. Let us meet with the second video with the next topic. Till then, stay tuned, follow the channel. Thank you.